So thank you all for joining. We appreciate all of you joining us on this very insightful, exciting conversation that I'm about to have with Dhruv. So Dhruv, welcome. Thank you for taking out time to join us here at Theater Every. So everyone, I must introduce Dhruv to all of you. He's the co-founder and CTO at CELA Technologies, and CELA is one of our partners at Theater Every. Dhruv, he's a serial entrepreneur and inventor. He has founded various companies in the field of AR and holographic reality space. He has carried out multiple workshops and has spoken at many world-renowned universities in India, China, and Canada. So he is joining us for an insightful session on AR commerce and how it can influence the retail world, how it's disrupting the retail world. So Dhruv, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to this fireside chat. Um,
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Guru, and thanks for having me. I'm really excited to share some of my thoughts today on this topic.
All right. So, Dhruv, I think we must start talking about AR commerce, and we are both coming from retail and omni-channel kind of space, and you more from the product and innovation side, and I'm more from the process and the the implementation side. So, I think it's going to be a great conversation looking ahead. I'm hearing in the retail and the omni-channel world and digital transformation at large. I'm hearing a lot of buzz around AR and how it is kind of disrupting the e-commerce space. So I just wanted to start our conversation asking you, how do you think AR commerce is disrupting the e-commerce space? What are your thoughts? And then we can keep chatting away on this topic and extend this further.
Definitely, Guru. Before I get to that particular answer, how AR is disrupting, it's important to understand how we got here.
Right.
As a researcher and inventor in the field of this kind of like information mediums and human-computer interaction, and I've studied various different displays and information mediums that have improved our lives. We started out with just simple pen and paper, and then we had the digital revolution. We moved on to radios. We had a computer revolution. Everything started moving on to the cloud with internet. And now here we are in the space of XR, XR meaning extended reality. And everything essentially is bridging the gap between physical and digital world, or we are essentially playing with these two worlds and how we can overlap information. For example, how we can get teleported. Um, so this is a primary distinction between AR and VR. For example, if we get teleported into this other world, we are essentially in some kind of virtual reality. But if we bring the digital world into our world and we augment it with more information, either through your phone's camera or the heads-up display that you might have seen from Microsoft or other companies, that's augmented reality. And so here we are. Essentially, I would say 90s was a space era where it was about how can, where can I get information, in an organized fashion. And now it's not just about getting information, it's what's the experience of getting information, right? Like how easily can I get information? And this year, with the advent of AI and products like ChatGPT, it's proving more and more that people want to have more human-centric conversation with information. So my research has always been all about humanizing technology and how we can humanize web and e-commerce in this case using 3D technologies and AR. So augmented reality is disrupting the space, which I'll talk in future, more in future as well, like in detail. But it's really bridging the gap between retailers and their customers. It's bringing more trust, and I can share some insightful data. How essentially the web itself is getting transformed from traditional 2D experience into more 3D, and it's kind of like a mall at your fingertips.
Right.
Mhm.
I appreciate what you just said, and yes, I think the buzz around the omni-channel retail is how do I make my experience more immersive, more relevant to the customer, so that and also to be very distinctive. How is my retail experience very can leave a lasting impression on the customer? So I appreciate what you just said in terms of making it more customer oriented, making it more experience oriented. um, I think it's not a return on investment anymore, it's return on experience these days. And that's how retailers are measuring themselves. And yeah. Um, so this brings me to the next question. Yes, it is disrupting and it is making it experience oriented. But everybody are doing the business for the growth and for the sales. So how do you think this AR commerce can drive sales? And we touched upon a bit of experience related aspect, but how can it actually drive more sales and more growth for the retailers?
Absolutely. Now this is a data from Shopify and Accenture. It's a third-party data. We have had our own data as well. You can read testimonials on the CELA.com from various SMEs. And what we are essentially seeing that according to Accenture, for example, 64% of the users are more likely to shop if it had an AR experience, and 41% of the users are willing to pay more if it had AR experience. Now, this is some of the most recent data. 95% of the people will go on to interact with AR and 3D experience on a product display page as compared to images and videos. So really how these are the numbers that are essentially proving that, first of all, we have more user retention. And there's something interesting, as a researcher, I've studied this, experimenting with a lot of 3D technologies. There is a memory retention rate also increases because we are visual learners, especially when it comes to shopping. We like to see and feel the product, and that again, as a it essentially bridges the gap. It builds more trust with the retailers, and we see more return customers, right? They come and check out, hey, is there something to try, is there something to experience now? And it reduces the time to shop as well. Like, although they may spend some time interacting with it in 3D, but they're not clicking on like individual perspective of images many times. And it doesn't make sense for any retailer on a product display page or anywhere on their website to have, like, let's say 50 to 100 different shots of a same product, or to create this kind of like a pseudo 3D experience where they're essentially flipping through images. So right now, what we are essentially seeing is, it is driving higher sales because of these numbers that I just mentioned. Um, and again, we are seeing numbers where there's increase in higher engagement by 94%. Actually, more and more people are now, it's becoming more and more of like a household thing, right? Like and it's because CELA is targeting those customers with smartphones, and right now we are talking about more than 1 billion people. Like, the user base is really huge. So all these retailers, they really don't need to invest anything more. They just need to have this kind of cloud-based AR experience through which we just access the camera with the permission, obviously, and then they can have this very simple to more advanced augmented reality experience, which also I'll describe later on. And again, because they can see it in 3D, they can try it out. It also reduces the return rates by 68% now. So this is actually a data from Shopify, and we are seeing more and more, like, these numbers are gradually increasing as more and more retailers get on board, and more people become used to this kind of technologies.
Right. Right. No, I appreciate that. And 68% is a very big number. And the fact that the customer is wanting to pay more is really news to me. And yeah, I think, and even the return rates must have gone down significantly. How many times have we gone to a product detail page and zoomed in to understand the texture of something that we are buying? Or, again, it goes back to the experience aspect of what we are buying, and to be sure of what we are buying and how much are we paying for what we are buying. So I appreciate that. And I think retailers are constantly in an e-commerce world trying to reduce the number of clicks from the time somebody lands on their website till the time they place an order and check out. So with instead of 10 images, if you have just one 3D and the customer can zoom in, rotate, become more and more aware of the 360 degree view of the product, then I think I'm sure the return rates are going to be less, and definitely the sales is going to definitely go up, especially when the customer is trying to say that, yeah, I'm willing to pay more if you give me an immersive experience. So yeah. um, but retail again is a large world. It's a huge world in itself. There's so many sub segments. Who do you think are the early adopters of this AR commerce and AR as a technology? um,
Absolutely. Again, according to our own research, we have found that fashion apparels and fashion retailers,
of course.
obviously are more forward thinking, and there are obviously other companies getting on board as well. And I'm going to talk about more, but the major subsegments that we are seeing here are the fashion retailers and home decors, including furniture items and decorative items and accessories. Um, and that's again, people might have tried something like IKEA Place.
Mm,
That's an app-based experience. So what Sella has essentially done, taking all this experience online on the cloud, you can just access it through a link. Um, so these are the two major subsegments again, and that is also primarily because our strength of creating hyper realistic content
mm,
and how we can allow similar replica of those products for those subsegments that we are seeing, and then people can in some cases even try out the products. I'm going to share some of the videos later on so people can see how it looks like, what it feels like to experience this kind of product online. um, Now, apart from this, this is a new subsegment that we are targeting, and because we are receiving interest, like an inbound interest from this
mm,
industry, and that's an automotive industry.
mm,
So, at Sella, we are like perfectly good with in terms of creating replicas of both, not only the small products, but also the larger products like cars, and even larger than that as well.
yeah,
We can be scanning the entire home or even the entire building, and imagine showing that for real estate purpose.
yeah,
Normally when you go and purchase a new condo, you see that kind of 3D model, right, at a presentation center. But now
yeah,
people can imagine either augmented information on top of that, or they can essentially see, like scan a QR code and see how the building is going to look like at their home. Literally have the entire presentation at home. So these are some of
mm.
the newer use cases and subsegments of industry that we are seeing. But yeah, we are seeing that essentially, a lot of different verticals are getting to know the power of AR and how they can utilize it for their business.
Nice, nice. This makes me even wonder. I was just talking to one of our logistics customers, and they were telling that they are in the import, export, transshipment kind of business, and they export heavy equipments, expensive equipments, and including all the fancy cars. So there are a lot of insurance and damage elements because it's going over the sea and exposed. It's exposed to the weather and all the unpredictable elements. So they take pictures, and so I can imagine what you're saying. So I think it has the potential of touching every walk of life in general, and of course all the various subsegments, even within the retail industry. So I appreciate that very much. I think because you brought up the video, I'm going to ask you this question, Dhruv. Um, uh, how does it change the overall customer experience in retail? And can you give us some samples or some visuals for our viewers and listeners?
Absolutely. I'd like to divide this answer in two parts. Like, I'll show basically two different kinds of demos.
Sure.
Okay, so I have actually, I've opened a few demos for here, for us. For example, this is a mass demo, where this is basically one of the links. This link, by the way, can be integrated onto any particular website. any e-commerce. We are platform agnostic, even hardware agnostic. So, essentially you can change the colorways, you can interact again in 3D. And then I want to and there is an AR experience. So if you are actually having an iPhone or a compatible iPhone or Android phone, so this is an example from one of our clients called Low Jules Leather, and they like a lot of customers, they started developing masks. So so this is one of the products that we have worked on. Really
Oh,
beautiful.
wow. Yeah, this is way different than clicking on 8 different images to look at all sides of the mask. It's so
Right.
realistic and so um, yeah, very different.
And one of the things that CELA currently owns 3 patents on the rendering pipeline here, mainly to do with the hyper realism of the content itself in terms of the lighting experience. So I'll talk more about our advantage in this particular technology. But here, as I mentioned, like these are the two main experiences that I wanted to show, like two different parts. One is the 3D experience,
Yeah,
and the other is the AR experience. So for AR, I actually have a video. Can you see this video right now?
yeah.
So you will see it's a very short video, and here I would like to pause. Here you can see like some annotations as well. So how we normally read the text on a traditional e-commerce product display page, a lot of text, but
Yeah.
here we showcase the text in 3D as well.
Oh,
Like
wow.
what that particular part means, right? So we can actually put that text exactly in the 3D point, and they can understand. Again, it's a more user-friendly experience, there's more engagement, and these are the kind of features that is actually driving more engagement. And here my partner actually will try this in real time. This is actually for the first time. So as you can see,
Oh,
uh, yeah, so we are trying, and it's following, as you can see, and it does pretty interesting occlusion. Occlusion meaning like what part of the mask needs to be hidden from different angles.
mm,
So that was a very quick showcase. And again, as I mentioned, if you have a compatible Android or iOS phone, you can actually try that. I'll be sharing that some of those links with you, Guru, which you can share with the audience later on as well.
absolutely.
Here,
So it's leveraging the camera on the phone and doing this, the
yes.
try-ons, the virtual try-ons.
Yes, yes. And with our technology, you don't even need those, latest iPhones and Android phones where it has a 3D camera. We can do it all off the base of just 2D camera, you
Okay.
know. And here is another example. This was like a pilot project that we did with Ray-Ban,
Yeah.
and you can see like one of the clients actually is trying and actually shared this video with us in real time. This was a real time video that we are showing you right now. Um, so these are some of the examples, and then there are more examples. Now, our technology can be integrated, as I mentioned, on any website. These are some of the Shopify sites that I'm showing, but it really could be a WordPress, BigCommerce, or even your custom built, right? Like you might have not used any of these CMS systems, but we can come and integrate it anywhere. This is again, as you can see, this is again, like heels, and this, they're pretty well known for this kind of product. So, and then there's a furniture product here as well, right? Again, there are a lot of variations for this particular client, and again, for this particular client, as you can see, we created a custom page. So whether
Mm,
it's a custom page, home page, any page, right, product display page, we can integrate it, and even directly integrate with Stripe, for example, the payment gateway. Like for, let's say I want to buy this particular variation, and I can simply click on that, and it takes me to the right link. As you can see, this is the particular, the color that I'm buying right now, and I can actually purchase it right there.
right.
So these are some of the examples. We are also seeing very interesting examples, as I mentioned, in the fashion industry,
Right.
uh, and people can go and actually customize, different, what kind of fabric textures, like you mentioned, right?
Right.
Textures, and again, we are not clicking thousands of times. You can actually just and this, by the way, is not, this particular site is not built on using any CMS. So we
Right.
were able to come and
Oh, wow.
integrate our technology with Stripe and everything, maintaining their kind of like a branding language, colors and fonts and all those, and seamlessly integrated.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So all these examples that you're showing are really absolutely stunning. The mask especially, and the fact that you talked about occlusion and hyperreal images, that changes the way customer looks and feels the product. Oh wow. So yeah, I think this kind of changes the whole game of shopping and experience, and definitely the customer will linger around a few more minutes
Mhm.
in a AR enabled experience versus two-dimensional. It's extremely different and very powerful, this thing.
Yeah. And
Especially when you showed me the match and mix and match, the dressing room kind of the mannequin, and where you can place and plug and play, and you can work out ensembles, what goes well, what doesn't go well. And sunglasses again, how many times have we all bought sunglasses that doesn't fit us, but it looks really great. So if you can actually try it on, you can make uh, better decision and make it easy on the retailer with reduced number of returns for sure.
absolutely, and that's where we specialize. With our computer vision cutting edge technology, we are able to smartly identify your environment and the human anatomy, very precisely, where we can either apply it for advanced try-on. Like this particular client actually used our technology for measurement, so
Yeah,
they don't have to come to the shop to get measured. We can get their shoulder width and the chest and waist and the leg length and everything, arm length, and
oh
they
wow.
can like send their measurements and customize what they want, both for male and female, and there they go, like really, as I mentioned, a mall kind of experience at the fingertips. I'd like to also mention one more thing, like even animations. I mentioned about annotations, the 3D text. Now, like imagine opening the door and going inside. We are actually doing a
Absolutely.
pilot study right now with Ford in US, and
Okay.
this is actually for them. And essentially, like again, we obviously, people would still go to the dealers to
Yeah,
do a test drive and things like that.
yeah.
But we are right now creating an experience for their salespeople where they can actually take out an iPad and still show or even share the link, right? Hey, why don't you check out this link and then come
Correct.
to a showroom to do a test drive? Again, that bridges the experience, right? Where they
Yes.
can actually see it from inside, outside, change colors, and they feel more comfortable, like they really understand the product at this stage.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they come informed, they come with a decision that they've probably already made, as opposed to going to the showroom in the previous world, where much of the decision is made. But because they're so well informed and this is so realistic, I'm sure they go with the decision, and it probably he can attend to more customers walking in as opposed to informing everything to them on the shop floor. So yeah, I appreciate that very much.
And here's another thing, like a lot of customers in on like how to use this technology at a showroom, right? By the salespeople. Sometimes your showroom is limited in size. You cannot be showing hundreds of variations, right? Like they have a demo car which could be black in color, but there are a lot of people, they are excited about colors, how it looks from inside, what kind of color the car seat is of, and the dashboard and all these things, right? So
Yeah,
imagine able to explain, customize on the site itself and helping them visualize, okay, this is how your car could be looking like with this set of customization. So this is
mhm,
how your glasses could be looking like, or your clothing could be looking like, right? Like you,
yeah,
and so it overcomes that limitation of the physical space, because now we can store so much information on the cloud and change it rapidly on fly, searching for right variations
yeah.
and customizing, having that level of customization on site.
Absolutely. So this brings me to the invariably to this question, and we are 30 minutes into our conversation, and I want to give us enough time to talk about how what is our offering in this space. And I know you hinted to us about this being on the cloud, and it's going to be seamless. And so what is our offering in this space? How can retailers leverage this capability, given that all retailers, they are a world of best of breed, they already have their e-commerce, they already have their mobile applications, but how can they overnight, with a switch of a button, become AR enabled experience versus a two-dimensional one?
That's a great question, Guru. We have been working on this for now nearly 5 years. How, first of all, how, and I'd like my everybody can see my screen, right? I'll actually
Yes.
share the website so that, and I'll also share this dashboard on what users get, right? And they can actually see different demos. By the way, our offerings, our feature sets. CELA's mandate is to go appless. We want to have this on the fly experience, and we are leveraging on what we would call Moore's law, right? Like all the devices are getting powerful, we are getting powerful camera. So why don't we utilize on that public infrastructure and deliver that experience on the cloud in matter of few seconds? So our offering, if you were to go onto the plans page, you will see all the features that I explained. So we have a SaaS-based kind of model here, where you get all the features, from 3D content creation all the way till creating an experience and integration onto your website. And that includes a number of different experiences like try on and augmented reality. There including, we also work with third party applications like Snapchat. Like let's say your customer base is more on Snapchat, we can figure out an AR experience for that particular market segment as well. 3D viewer that I showed, configurable features, creative photography. Let's say you want some really good renders of your image. Now you cannot, like, it's not practical to take your, let's say, shoes or any particular product into a different environment and do this very high-end photography. That's supremely costly. So here we can achieve all this. We can render that particular product in any kind of background and give it to you. And analytics, very important. We can exactly tell where users are clicking on which part of the shoe from where they're seeing, for example. And that provides you interesting insights. What could be your initial view of that particular product, how users can start interacting. Now, this is one of the offering where this is basically a complete package. And the second part is some of the clients, they come to us, say, like, hey, Sela, we really like the kind of 3D models you guys develop. Can you make it for us? Now, we do have a price here, but as I like on for some of the complex, larger models, we have to assess the product, but we can help customers, create just the 3D files that they can go and download from the dashboard and essentially manage their products, the 3D products of their 3D files of their products.
Right.
Lastly, the enterprise product, like the fashion retailer that I showed, the designers resource center. Some of these clients are the newer clients, and they have very specific needs. For example, how to get the measurement remotely, and so we have computer vision scientists and researchers who can figure out this complex computer vision related problems and create really intuitive AR experience according to your needs. So whether it's integrating it with a particular payment gateway, or whether you want your entire site to be 3D, Sela can essentially come and revamp that in matter of, I mean, some of the projects I would say, now the timeline of the projects, you might be wondering like how long it could take with some of these projects. I would say anywhere from 2 hours to 2 weeks, right? Like if it's an enterprise project, um, again, depending on the needs, like some of the clients nowadays are coming to us with a blockchain integration. Can they turn their product into NFT, non-fungible token, right? And and can they use that NFT as a gift card to purchase the real product? So we have all these kinds of complex web integrations with Web 2 and Web 3 as well, which is all part of the enterprise package. So if you're interested, like speak to us. What are your needs? At CELA, we'll show we are 100% confident that we'll work out something to make sure that your journey is expedited in days and not months and years when it comes to some of these newer technologies.
Oh, that's music, I'm sure, to most of our listeners, and who will even listen after this conversation when we post this as well on social.
Mhm.
So that's really good to hear, Dhruv, especially when you said that, it's about uh, 2 hours to 2 weeks, or you said 2 days to 2 weeks for an entire website. And I'm sure that will be the enterprise model if somebody wants their entire website to be revamped. Um, very quickly, I just want you to tell us a little bit more, because retailers, it's an ongoing world. It's an everyday world, so new items come in, and old items are obsoleted. So I want to understand, how can our capability as AR rendering help them with the ongoing business as usual things, because new products are constantly coming into they're about 500 to 600 items a month. Every retailer is newly getting. So what should he be sending you, and how this capability can keep up with the pace?
Yeah, I'll actually share my screen again for that. I can show the dashboard. We've created this entire user flow where people don't even need to send all these images or upload it somewhere. We've created a platform where they can go and upload and fill out simple forms and do batch uploads as well
Sounds
of their variations. So let me just show that very quickly. Can you see my screen again?
yet. Um, but I think if it requires you to come back again, I think we can just talk about it through because we are at the top of the hour now.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let me if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Then, so this is the dashboard of a retailer. Let's say you were a retailer with CELA. This is the kind of dashboard. You can edit your descriptions. You can simply purchase a plan. This is basically a SaaS model that I'm talking about. But even for the enterprise, we can create an account for them and store all their information. This is kind of like their virtual inventory, right?
Right.
They can even the HTML code, one line code, essentially how to integrate this very quickly.
Right.
um, for the model creation, they send us the request. These are some of the sample requests that I'm showing you, and we can show like the progress in real time, like how far are we to completing that particular product in terms of 3D reconstructions. And they can send us a request. It's a small form, as I mentioned, like batch uploads, and they can
Mhm.
send us thousands of images. And we have a AI based approach in terms of doing 3D reconstruction as well. So we are able to handle large number of products now as we utilize machine learning and artificial intelligence to do 3D reconstructions on the fly. Sometimes now we are also getting onto a stage, even if the client sends us just one image, one or two
Right.
images, we are able to even get the back view, and
Yeah.
it might need some more cleanup. So
Yeah.
we have created this portal where retailers can communicate with us if they're not happy. But really, this is the essentially the portal. They can make separate requests for the creative photography, like the rendering that I talked about. And again, through this platform, they're able to revamp their whole website and communicate with us more effectively.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So I appreciate this again, yeah, because it's SaaS model. It can just be very seamlessly integrated with their content management, with their e-commerce, with their mobile application, and suddenly from a two-dimensional, regular, usual experience, suddenly it can become an AR experience. So I think that is the real power of what we are offering here. So I really appreciate that, Dhruv, and I have one last question. We are Tia to Every and your seller, and I want to hear from you. How is this partnership coming along, and how is this working out for you? Um,
Yeah, absolutely. No, first of all, I'm extremely grateful, for this partnership and to have that
your
opportunity.
camera is off, by the way. I just wanted to tell you.
My camera is off.
Yeah,
Okay, it shows on for me. How about right now?
yeah, That's all.
Okay, good. Yeah, I first of all, I want to thank everybody at T2Every, and extremely grateful, Guru, for all the support and the countless hours that we have spent together to figure out, how do we target, right? Like, how do we approach with this new kind of innovation and novelty, and make it available to the masses. Before T2Every, we were targeting North American market, and because of our successful background and past in this particular field, we were doing projects mostly targeting, I would say, SMEs. But with the partnership of T2Every, we are talking with larger retailers and clients, the logistics customer that you mentioned. And just today morning, you send me like another customer from a food industry. Very interesting, right? Like, I would say we would have never had this kind of opportunity, at least in upcoming years. I mean, it would have taken years
Yes.
to achieve what we have done together in few months. So again, and and second, for me as a researcher and inventor to understand, like, the key industry insights from your end as well, like what, because you, as you mentioned, you are in this field for such a long time, so it helps me, expedite my understanding in this
Yeah.
field. And what are the most crucial features that really matter, right? And really hone out and clarify,
Yeah.
before I would say we were a little bit more like a lab doing more enterprise projects, but really with our partnerships now we can transition towards more of a product led offering with the SaaS product and package.
Yeah. No, it's been wonderful. All the interactions we have had so far has been really fruitful, and we are always moving towards a common goal. And we at Tieto Every appreciate that very much. And as you said, you bring in the know-how and the technology and the product or the offering as such. And I think in some ways, then more we kind of complement that with our understanding of the industry and the volume game, which is retailed, right? And the fact that if you're 50 milliseconds or 100 milliseconds you're taking more to render, the customer is already abandoning and going to your competitor. And retailers are extremely sensitive to content rendering, immersive experience. And right from the time when you walk into a physical store and the kind of music they play and the kind of the way the store smells to the two-dimensional digital world. But I think with the advent of AR commerce, with the disruption of AR commerce, I think that the two-dimensional digital world is now becoming three-dimensional, and that I think will open doors for you and for us. So that's really good. Um, and I will now open the floor for our participants to raise hands and ask any questions. But when they are framing their questions and typing it in, I want to ask you one last question, Dhruv. Any parting remarks you have? Like, what is your message to the people who will be listening to it once it goes out to the larger world? What is that one message when it comes to commerce and retail and omni-channel?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at the next generation, the way they perceive information, is in 3D. They really don't have that distinction about different realities, whether it's 3D, 2D. We grew up playing those kind of games which were so pixelated, right? But now that is unacceptable. To go through that kind of a pixelated experience. And that's going to be the case, just few years down the line. You will see more and more competition with all the retailers, and this will become like a business card. This is going to be as prevalent and ubiquitous as a business card. It's just something
Mm.
that you're supposed to have. It's
Yeah.
just where the world is moving. The world is 3D, it interacts in 3D, it feels in 3D. Then
Yeah.
why can't the web be 3D? And that
Yes.
would be my parting message, right? And I think it's of a paramount importance that retailers at least try this out.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it has to be 3D. And my message to all the listeners and retailers out there, please reach out to us at Tieto Every. We are in collaboration. We are joined at our hips with CELA on this. So we bring in the comprehensive and the holistic package of making, as Dhruv said, from within 2 weeks, you can have your 3D content and a more immersive experience. And we can help you do this strategically. We can choose the segment that is most AR prone and then expand that and propagate that to the rest of your categories in your catalog. So please reach out, and as Dhruv already said it, AR is going to be default. So the sooner you start, the better you're going to reap. And with that, I think we'll just turn to our audience and see if they have any questions. If they don't, then we can wind it up um, uh, and go from there. Yeah. So audience, any questions? Prasad, Manju, I'm just calling out names and putting people on the spot because I work with them all the time. So, Amrit, any questions? So, please feel free and keep the conversation going. It's an opportunity for you to interact with Dhruv. Um, yeah. All
You know,
right.
I'd like
Yeah,
to say one last thing. You mentioned
absolutely.
about how quickly we can transform. One of our main motivation was like how to make it cost effective as well.
Mm,
Make it easy, cost effective, and also at the same time really good in quality.
yeah,
To set up this kind of you literally need like a specialized IT department with AR developers and 3D web developers and 3D artists and 2D artists,
mm,
and the cost can quickly escalate. If you just think in terms of payroll and how much you need to hire a team of 5 to 10 people, we are talking about thousands of dollars, lakhs of rupees, and your cost to even just transform the website can quickly escalate, which can mean a lot actually for SMEs, but even larger organization at times, because we could be talking about hundreds and thousands of dollars, but here we are right now achieving all that great quality, the speed, and good optimization, like quickly being able to load in different, even remote places with not a good internet connection. These are some of the key things that you must be considering when you get on the board with AR technologies. And at CELA, we have spent intense amount of time making sure that it's seamless, it's smooth, not just appless, but really it's something that users don't have to think about when they interact with it.
yeah. I have one question. Hey, Anita. Yeah, thank you for this question. It's slightly related to the topic of our conversation, Dhruv, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Anita wants to know, while we understand the AR, how does the metaverse impact e-commerce? You take your go, and then I will make an attempt at this as well.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting that you brought up this topic of metaverse. We are, as I mentioned, we are doing some of this blockchain and metaverse project as a part of our enterprise package.
Yeah,
Some of these brands, like Ford, we are actually talking with even other luxurious brands in Italy, like Lamborghini and all these other brands, and they actually want to create like play to earn games, and they want to build a community. Now they see metaverse as more of a social media approach, right? Like imagine, Guru, you and me can go into this world and engage with the products that we like and love and we share.
yeah,
And what's more, we can actually play them in VR and actually try out the car and see
yeah,
how it feels like. And again, see, go from inside, change colors,
yeah,
maybe in some cases purchase it as NFT, and then
yeah,
again use that and provide this special experience for some of the loyal customers, maybe like visiting customers.
yeah,
So metaverse is turning out to be this very new interesting idea, more towards the evolution of how we socialize,
right,
and how we can bring products into that world as well. And that's again, that's a true immersion. Now again, the whole website, the look and feel of that website will look significantly different. But sometimes some of these retailers also have a subsection on their website like enter metaverse,
Yeah,
and try out this product in the metaverse, or they can literally be standing in front of a virtual mirror,
correct.
and there can be even a virtual sales guy talking to them, and literally and the entire transaction and interaction and user experience can happen right there as well.
Yeah. And the thing that I want to share on this topic is one of the early adopters of this concept is Louis Vuitton. I think very recently they did a very big marketing campaign on creating a metaverse for all of their products. Where, see, when not everybody gets to sit in the front row of a runway and look closely at the apparel that is walking past them via a model, right? So they created this metaverse where you could actually go and look at a model. Of course, they had their own take on the metaverse because it's all of this is still evolving. But in my opinion, me as a shopper, an ardent shopper, that would be a great experience for me sitting in another corner of the world, becoming immersed in a Louis Vuitton fall, walkthrough and going into that Louis Vuitton world and looking at various items, products, and of course the whole aesthetics of the visual merchandise for which retailers spend so much money on. They're creating that in a metaverse without in a digital world, in a three-dimensional kind of world. So I see, I relate to what you say. Many such ideas are popping up, but I think it's only a matter of time when all of this kind of avalanches and more retailers catch up, and perhaps we are going to have a metaverse marketplace. And we can literally maybe in a virtual world touch and feel Amazon. Now that doesn't have any stores, although they are starting some stores. But yeah. There's another quick question. Are there any cybersecurity and regulatory concerns in AR commerce? One of our audience wants to know. Hmm.
One of the things that I wouldn't say cyber security, like the protocol of protecting of your data. I would say, CELA takes care of protecting your data in the same way that we normally traditionally do with the normal, website development, right? Like how you protect your data, how you kind of like encrypt it by using really good servers, and with inbuilt security. We primarily, our platform sits on Linux, Ubuntu, and we make sure that all the files and everything is hack proof. But one of the concerns we do see, like especially for AR, and we like clarify this upfront, like before we access their camera. Now they could be accessing a camera at home, in their office, and it's something that's their private space, right? So we it's kind of like those GDPR accept all cookies, and we
Mm.
get their consent essentially, and make sure that they're aware of what the consequent experience is going to do. It's going to access their camera, their location, whatever it is, right? In terms of collecting analytics. So we make sure that we are legally within the framework of operating such experiences, and at the same time, making sure that your data is well protected and it belongs to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Amrit, I have one more question. I think this is perhaps the last question for our session today. Um, he comes from the energy sector, and so that's another good news. We have domain experts from other walks of life. Anita is from healthcare, and Amrit is from energy. So, of course, he's very passionate about his field. He wants to know, slight deviation from commerce. What are your views on AR, VR, MR in the energy industry in the near future?
Very interesting question indeed. I think it's mostly when it comes to overlapping information, right? Like I might need to know more information about the products in that particular industry. But right on the top, like whenever I think about any complicated product, right? Let's say even in the medical industry or energy sector, or understanding and overlaying information in a way that, let's say, how much the wind energy, like how much that what's the energy generation for that particular equipment versus solar panels, right? and being able to visually understand that in 3D, or being able to overlap that information in front of that particular product, complex information, right? Like maybe the clients are in the energy sector, the clients could be the governments, but rather than giving PowerPoint presentation of look what my new wind tunnel can do, or what is this like what this hybrid way of generating this energy can do, and hybrid cars and things like that. But imagine showcasing that in 3D with animations and AR, and really driving that presentation where it becomes easily available and explainable to a layperson,
Yeah.
right? That explaining power through the visuals in real time in 3D and AR. I personally find a lot of, and this is more of an educational use rather than e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
Where you are learning about complex products. Again, imagine dissecting a heart, imagine dissecting a brain, and understanding different parts of your brain.
Right.
I think I'm pretty sure I would be very excited to explain that to my little daughter as well. Like, as she grows up, and the future generation is going to perceive and see information in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And energy is something, with very sophisticated equipments. It's full of IoT and full of sensors. So I'm imagining, field inspections through AR, trainings through VR, because people there need to understand the operations of, expensive equipments, leased equipments all the time. So these are some of the use cases that I see and understand when it comes to energy as well, where everything, instead of spending millions of dollars on classrooms and on-field trainings, you can have most of that preempted already in a VR classroom, where people can just sit and learn and try it out, and then go and actually touch and feel the whole thing in reality. So I hope, Amrit, I think that explains your question, and we are on top of the hour. Exactly. We have taken an hour of your time, Dhruv, and thanks, audience, for spending your time with us this evening and listening, tuning into us and our conversation. This will be available, and again, the message to uh, everybody listening to it is, if you're thinking of AR commerce, please contact us, and we can make it as easy as possible and as seamless as possible. And we can go from there. Thank you again, Dhruv. Thank you so much. And I also want to extend my heartiest thanks to Krishna Kohli and Sovik from our marketing team, who have been very helpful, and Mala, of course, who've been very helpful in passing this message around, that such an event is happening. And again, there is so much more they are going to do after the event by posting all of this again onto our social media channels. So without you guys, uh, we are not without you. So thank you so much to all of you from the marketing team. Um, and thank you, audience, again for joining. And most importantly, thank you, Dhruv. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing your thoughts, expertise, and again, we appreciate being partners with CELA. Yeah.
Sure.
thanks,
Thank you,
Guru.
Dhruv. Thank you, Guru. Thank you, everyone.